Good afternoon, everybody. Hell's Unicorn here once again, and it is officially on, my friends. The 2012 election is on, and my candidate of choice, Ron Paul, is already into the thick of it. This particular talk is in response to the recent interview that he just did on Fox News. And apparently it seems that the gloves have come off already. Chris Wallace has taken it upon himself to ask just about every hard question in the book, many of them biased, some of them outright unreasonable, and Ron Paul pretty consistently hit them all out of the park. However, that's not actually what I'm going to be commenting on. The most interesting thing that came up was at the tail end of the interview, the individual known as Judson Phillips, the so-called head of the Tea Party Nation's website, was brought in as a individual who would be a counterpoint to Ron Paul, and it was suggested basically that the Tea Party was divided and that largely the Tea Party was against Ron Paul. Now, I have provided a link in the description to the Daily Paul, one of my principal news sources at present, and we have some pretty interesting information on Mr. Judson Williams from an AOL News article from about a year ago. And let me just give you a bit of a background on this Mr. Judson Phillips here. This man is about on par with scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of corrupt lawyering. He is particularly known for offering law defenses for people that are drunk drivers and practitioners of omnibus delinquency. This is what the article actually states for itself. And for the most part, he is a big-time Sarah Palin guy, ergo he is the enemy. I have long asserted, since the formation of the 2009 Tea Party, that it was loaded with interlopers, of which I named specifically Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin. I did not mention Judson Phillips because, based on most of the interviews I saw of him, I saw him as sort of a sideshow. But apparently it seems he's going to be trotted out as the head guy now to oppose Paul whenever answering questions with regards to the recent bin Laden assassination. I'm just going to make my views on that again known once more time, just so we can basically cut to the chase here. I don't care what Osama bin Laden did or didn't do, and quite frankly, I have no evidence that he did or didn't do anything, basically, because the government has been telling a lot of conflicting stories, and particularly when it comes to his supposed death. But the notion of invading another country, bombing it, and doing this or that without an official war declaration just doesn't jive with me. I don't go for it. I don't care what justification you put in front of it. I mean, if you want my sympathy, you can go on day and night about the abuses of the government in Zimbabwe. And even then and there, I won't support an elimination of that bastard murderous president over there without an official declaration of war. Absent that, I don't support it. One of the three tenets of just war theory, number one, the authority of the sovereign. Where does our government derive its authority from? From the Constitution. And the Constitution states very clearly, Congress will be endowed with the power to declare war. If war is not declared, war is not being fought. End of story. So Mr. Judson Phillips is going to be a very, very staunch opponent of Paul's. Well, good. Bring it on. You couldn't choose a better enemy than a scum-sucking, money-grubbing lawyer turned political activist. I mean, this is like getting John Edwards as your enemy. I can't wait for the stuff that comes out about Mr. Phillips. I mean, some of it, there's some real juicy stuff here on the article, and I'm going to put a link to this in the description also, but there's a link on the Daily Paul also. And apparently this guy just sprung up from out of nowhere a year or two ago. But anyway, just read this article for yourself. A lot of good information on here. And it's highly questionable that Chris Wallace would be quoting this guy, because this guy is a definite tool. And anybody, just for the record, anybody who's sending any money to TeaPartyNation.com right now, knock it off. All right? Don't send this guy any money, particularly if you're a Ron Paul supporter. Don't get sucked into this Tea Party stuff. Right here and now, what I am going to do is I am going to officially throw the established Tea Party leadership under the bus. I don't want to hear about what Sarah Palin says about this or what Judson Phillips says about that. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, there are two Tea Parties, the '07 one and the '09 one. I don't want to hear about the '09 one. I don't care about them. A lot of them are probably former neocons that haven't fully weaned themselves off of their authoritarian views. And those who are starting to, I might consider having a dialogue with them at some point. But for right now, I am interested only in proponents of liberty. And as far as I'm concerned, unless you're supporting Gary Johnson or you're supporting Ron Paul, you're not a libertarian. You're not a part of the liberty movement. You can call yourself Tea Party all day long. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a Palin supporter, if you're a Bachmann supporter, or if you lend any credence to Judson Phillips' statements here, you're a tea bagger. Yes, I will use that term, even though it's been used in a negative fashion against me. Yes, you are a tea bagger, and I'm not into tea bagging. Anyway, that pretty much sums it up for this. This was kind of just another stream of consciousness. But anyway, with prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.